Well, good morning. Welcome to Daily Videos with me, Pastor Michelle. Today's Wednesday, January 27th. Let's get started with some prayer, shall we? Something we all need more of. Our Father and Mother, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. So, my friends, let's hear from 2 Chronicles. It was the duty of the trumpeters and singers to make themselves heard in unison in praise and thanksgiving to the Lord. And when the song was raised with trumpets and cymbals and other musical instruments in praise to the Lord, for he is good, for his steadfast love endures forever. The house of the Lord was filled with a cloud, so that the priest could not stand to minister because of the cloud. For the glory of the Lord filled the house of God. And so here's God's love note. I made you for joy and praise and celebration. I do not ask you to offer me thanksgiving because I need it. I ask you for it because sometimes you and your people have forgotten what joy feels like. You may even have forgotten that in an era such as this, when so much evil is afoot, celebration and thanksgiving are acts of resistance against evil forces, empires of destruction, and cultures of violence and hate. I love a good party because I love to see you shine with joy, and the world does not encourage joy for its own sake. Today, I ask you to find something to celebrate, something to be thankful for, and to share it with someone. See if they can find something to celebrate and be thankful for as well. The trumpets and cymbals are optional, for today at least. Woo! So, how's everyone feeling? For some reason, my belly's hurting a little bit today, so I may have to take a Pepto-Bismol or something. Could be nerves, I don't know. So, do hope everyone's doing okay. These are times. So let's continue our conversation about Elizabeth, the mother of John the Baptist. When Zechariah saw the angel, he was terrified, but Gabriel put him to ease and said, "Don't be afraid, for your prayer's been heard. Your wife Elizabeth will bear you a son. You will name him John." The angel also foretold that the boy would be filled with the Holy Spirit and would minister to the people of Israel with the spirit and power of Elijah. Zechariah could not believe the angel's words, knowing that he and his wife were advanced in age. To punish him, Gabriel struck him deaf and mute until the day that his son would be born. And indeed, when Zechariah emerged from the temple, he was unable to speak. Gabriel then brought Mary the news that she too would give birth to a son. When Mary protested that she was a virgin, the angel Gabriel replied that the Spirit will come upon you and the power of the Most High will overshadow you. So as to underscore God's power, the angel added that your relative Elizabeth, in her old age, has also conceived a son, for nothing will be impossible with God. So Mary set out to visit her cousin Elizabeth. When Elizabeth saw Mary and heard her voice, she thought, "The child in my tomb leaped for joy." And here's a drawing, a painting. I've always enjoyed that story that, John the Baptist must leaped in Elizabeth's belly when he knew that Jesus was in his presence. It's a beautiful imagery, I think. So, my friends, let's turn to Humans of New York, shall we? All right. So, here we have this guy. And he says, "I'm having trouble getting my work out there. I have a hard time finding the self-confidence. If it was up to me, I'd make my work in isolation and not worry about the marketing or promotion. But I know I can't do that. The problem is my work, it's really quiet. It's very subtle and subdued. It takes time to appreciate, and there's so much image saturation in today's world. It seems like only the most aggressive imagery is getting noticed. I'm finding that it takes a lot of boldness to take a firm stance in making quiet work." And this guy says, "I'm taking a puddlegram." And I like this one. This guy shows a picture and he says, "This was my hockey team and I was the goalkeeper." Good old hockey. I remember playing that a little bit when I was a kid. We would play it in gym class. I was never very good at it though. The only sports I was good at was kickball. That's a sport, and Basketball and softball. Yeah, softball. Of course, I played softball. You can't be a lesbian unless you play softball for at least one time or another. That was just a joke. Anyway, let's continue on with Catching Fire, shall we? Despite serious reservations, I had to forgive Finnick for his role in the conspiracy that landed me here. He has some idea of what I'm going through, and it takes too much energy to stay angry with someone who cries so much. I move through the downstairs on Hunter's feet, reluctant to make any sound. I pick up a few remembrances, a photo of my parents on their wedding day, a blue hair ribbon for Prem, the family book of medicinal and edible plants. The book falls open to a page with yellow flowers, and I shut it quickly because it was Peta's brush that painted them. What am I going to do? Is there any point in doing anything at all? My mother, my sister, and Gail's family are finally safe, as for the rest of 12 people are either dead, which is irreversible, or protected in 13. That leaves the rebels in the districts. Of course I hate the capital, but I have no confidence that my being the Mockingjay will benefit those who are trying to bring it down. How can I help the districts when every time I make a move it results in suffering and loss of life? The old man shot in 11 for whistling, the crackdown in 12 after I intervened in Gail's whipping, my stylist Cena being dragged bloody and unconscious from the launch room before the games. Plutarch's sources believe he was killed during an interrogation. Brilliant enigmatic. Lovely Cena is dead because of me. I push the thought away because it's too impossibly painful to dwell on without losing my fragile hold on this situation entirely. You have words that you can't pronounce. What am I going to do? To become the Mockingjay, could any good I do possibly outweigh the damage? Who can I trust to answer that question? Certainly not that crew in 13. I swear, now that my family and Gail's are out of harm's way, I could run away, except for one unfinished piece of business, Peta. If I knew for sure that he was dead, I could just disappear into the woods and never look back, but until I do, I'm stuck. I spin on my heel at the sound of a hiss in the kitchen doorway. Back arched, eyes flattened, stands the ugliest tomcat in the world. Buttercup. Thousands of people are dead, but he has survived and even looks well fed. On what? He can get in and out of the house through a window he always left ajar in the pantry. He must have been eating field mice. I refuse to consider the alternative. I squat down and extend a hand. Come here, boy. Not likely. He's angry at his abandonment. Besides, I'm not offering food, and my ability to provide scraps has always been my main redeeming quality to him. For a while, when we used to meet up at the old house because we both disliked this new one, we seemed to be bonding a little. That's clearly over. He blinks those unpleasant yellow eyes. Want to see Prem? Her name catches his attention. Besides his own, it's the only word that means anything to him. He gives a rusty meow and approaches me. I pick him up, stroking his fur, then go to the closet and dig out my game bag and unceremoniously stuff him in. There's no other way I'll be able to carry him on the hovercraft, and he means the world to my sister. Her goat, Lady, an animal of actual value, has unfortunately made an appearance. In my headset, I hear Gail's voice telling me we must go back, but the game bag has reminded me of one more thing that I want. I sling the strap of the bag over the back of a chair and dash up the steps to my bedroom. Inside the closet hangs my father's hunting jacket. Before the quell, I brought it here from the old house, thinking its presence might be a comfort to my mother and sister when I was dead. Thank goodness, or it'd be ash now. Soft leather feels soothing, and for a moment I'm calmed by the memories of the hours spent wrapped in it. Then, inexplicably, my palms begin to sweat. A strange sensation creeps up the back of my neck. I whip around to face the room and find it empty, tidy, everything in its place. There was no sound to alarm me. What then? My nose twitches. It's a smell. Cloying and artificial. A dab of white peeks out of a vase of dried flowers on my dresser. I approach it with cautious steps. There, all but obscured by its preserved cousins, is a fresh white rose, perfect, down to the last thorn and silken petal. I know immediately who sent it to me. President Snow. And when I begin to gag at the stench, I back away and clear out. How long's it been there? A day, an hour? The rebels did a security sweep of the victor's village before I was cleared to come here, checking for explosives, bugs, and anything unusual. But perhaps the rose didn't seem noteworthy to them. But only to me. Downstairs, I snag the game bag off the chair, bouncing it along the floor until I remember it's occupied. On the lawn, I frantically signal to the hovercraft while Buttercup thrashes. I jab him with my elbow, but this only infuriates him. A hovercraft materializes and a ladder drops down. I step on and the current freezes me until I'm lifted on board. Gail helps me from the ladder. You okay? Yeah, I say, wiping the sweat off my face with my sleeve. He left me a rose, I want to scream. But it's not information I'm sure I should share with someone like Plutarch looking on. First of all, because it will make me sound crazy, like I either imagined it, which is quite possible, or I'm overreacting, which will buy me a trip back to the drug-induced dreamland I'm trying hard to escape. No one will fully understand how it's not just a flower, not even just President Snow's flower, but a promise of revenge, because no one else sat in the study with him when he threatened me before the victory tour. Positioned on my dresser, that white as snow rose is a personal message to me. It speaks of unfinished business. It whispers, I can find you, I can reach you. Perhaps I'm even watching you now. All right, my friends. God bless you and have a wonderful night.